Now we enter our second movie, which is also the second movie in the Sam Raimi trilogy, Spider-Man 2. And I'm just gonna say it right off the bat. This is my favorite Spider-Man movie. Unless Spider-Verse has anything to say about that. Only time will tell. With the success of the first movie, a sequel was sure to be made. And then in 2004 we got ourselves another classic movie, and as I said before, my favorite Spider-Man movie, and you probably want to know why. Well, I'm gonna tell you anyways. The story to Spider-Man 2 takes place after the events of the first movie. Mary Jane has achieved her dream of acting in the theater, while Peter is struggling between jobs, his college life, paying rent, and of course, being Spider-Man. He loses his job, is late for his lessons with Dr. Connors, has money issues, and late for things because of him being Spider-Man. Harry sets up Peter to meet Dr. Otto Octavius, played by Alfred Molina, and gets invited to the show the next day. He plans out his night to see Mary Jane's show and gets sidetracked and ends up being late to the show. In the morning, Peter and Harry go to the presentation for Otto, and things go horribly wrong, causing Otto to go mad and believe Spider-Man killed his wife, Rosie. Later on, Peter discovers that his powers are going away and has to question if he wants to be Spider-Man or just Peter Parker. This movie went in a different direction this time, as it takes itself less seriously compared to the first movie, and we get a new take on things. We see a lot happen in 2 hours, and it's great that a lot can happen. The action sequences are much better this time around, as they don't act like a stage show or an action show from the 70s like last time. It feels more like an action movie of the time it's set in. The returning characters have improved since the first, and even the new characters are likable. Peter goes through what a lot of people go through besides being a superhero, questioning if he can have what he wants and what does he even want. And seeing him give up being Spider-Man is a heartbreaking moment, even in a scene where he's talking to Uncle Ben as like a dream sequence. Mary Jane goes on and off with Peter because he's basically an empty seat to her, and goes about questioning if she's with the right guy to be with, or to be with Peter for the rest of her life. I really like this, and I can see where she's coming from with this part of the story. Harry gets more character development this time around, as he wants to kill Spider-Man himself for the death of his father, while also taking in charge of Oscorp, and him feeling down in the dumps. This is so much of an improvement on Harry, and with what he finds out later in the movie, is very surprising for him, and for what it leads up to in the third movie. Then there's the other characters such as Aunt May, who has money troubles as well, and gets some great interactions with Peter, finding out how Uncle Ben died, and what Spider-Man had done for people around her, and for her as well. This is great stuff from Aunt May, and it brings in what's right, and how Aunt May should be in these movies. One character I didn't bring up in the first movie, which I'll talk about now, is J. Jonah Jameson. He was great in the first movie, and here he's even better. I love seeing him in these movies, and he's always enjoyable. And even in this movie, we see what he's like when he finds out Spider-Man quits, and how much he was an actual hero that he couldn't see for himself. And then there's Otto Octavius. We see him as a normal person at first, preparing for his biggest experiment yet, and then turning into a baddie is an interesting transition, and it's because of the hands he has and the chip stuck to the back of his neck, and also because of the death of his wife, Rosie. Ock is enjoyable to watch, even the jokes he does sometimes. I like how he interacts with other characters. Spider-Man this time around does crack some jokes a bit more and has more talking, but it's not right still. Like, it's an improvement from last time, but it's not there just yet. The CGI is an improvement this time, and it doesn't feel dated like the last movie. Even the moments using green screen are better and sometimes aren't noticeable. The biggest piece of CGI used, and still holds up to this very day, in my opinion, is Ock's mechanical arms. They are so well made, and it was the hardest thing to do in the production. But I will say the hard work paid off for the CGI crew. Danny Elfman is back composing the movie score, and what he does here is even better than the last movie. He has some tracks that are the same from last time, and not much is new, but what he does here is well done and always memorable. Overall, Spider-Man 2 is a fantastic movie, and I say that every time I watch the movie. It gets better and better each time. There's still some little things that could have been improved upon, but the way it's presented was handled well. As I said before, Spider-Man 2 is my favorite Spider-Man movie, and I always look forward to watching it. Now, one thing I should bring up is what is the best way to watch this movie? Introducing Spider-Man 2.1, the extended cut to Spider-Man 2, with an extra 8 minutes added to the movie, with even some changes to scenes that was in the normal cut. Like, we get to see new versions or extended versions of scenes, and even scenes never before seen, like the famous Jameson wearing Spider-Man's costume scene. So if you want the best experience watching Spider-Man 2, then watch the 2.1 extended cut. We've gone pretty high with Spider-Man right now. I know I said Spider-Man 2 is my favorite one in the trilogy, and of course in all the other Spider-Man movies, but surely Spider-Man 3 is gonna be pretty good, right?
Ooh, my spider sense is tingling. If you know what I'm talking about.
Help me.
Here comes the Spider-Man, 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 friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, weapon famous, he's ignored action is his reward. Look out! Here comes the Spider-Man.